we're gonna call the meeting to order. We have a quorum. The only board member I think we're missing is Dwight. So the only board member we're missing is Dwight. Can everybody hear us okay? Okay, people are shaking their head. So we'll call the meeting to order at 6:07-ish. Meredith, we'll send you a list of, thank you Chantel. We'll send you a list of the people in the building. We have Bob and Donna with us, and we have Miss Bills, the 3-4 teacher, and we have 3 parents here.
I sent her the list and I'll update. And
so the first item we wanted to put up before we did anything was the Wardsboro staffing update, discussion and possible action. So my understanding is at the last meeting, to clarify, I believe we were we had one more candidate we wanted to talk to, and I guess that did not work out as hoped. So we have no candidates in the pipeline right now?
So, as of today, yes, we do. We have a candidate.
Brand new today.
Brand new.
brand new today.
Brand new
Okay.
today.
Not yet vetted.
Not yet vetted?
Not yet
So
vetted.
not interviewed yet? Stop moving the camera, it's not working.
It's not me. That's
No, I mean, when you're moving the camera, we're not seeing anything.
Yeah.
So anyways, so go ahead, Donna, or Bob, why don't you give us an update then?
Go ahead, Don. How are you?
So, thank you to the hiring committee. We had 2 interviews, and moving forward with those possibilities, they are no longer.
Possible.
We did offer a position, and then that candidate declined, and then our decision moving forward was we didn't have a viable candidate to bring to the families of Wardsboro. So right now we do have a candidate that reached out to me, a possibility, and I'd like to talk to the board about what kind of time frame we can entertain so that we can look at this candidate and go through the hiring process as quick as possible. Do want to keep the opening open, like just keep looking for a candidate as long as we can.
Okay, so I think the answer to that is not with us, because it was the parents that came to us and wanted an answer and wanted something done sooner rather than later.
Right.
Then we were told that it wasn't as important, to look for a candidate. So, I mean, we got some parents here. So I would want their feedback. I know in the past, if I'm summarizing this right, we did have one parent say that we don't want to make the decision, you make the decision. And we don't want to shut it down too quick because somebody may come up, but we also don't want to postpone it because it'll be April and May and we'll be still having this conversation. So I guess what are the thoughts from the parents? And I don't know if you guys want to talk, or if you guys want to talk after you met with them.
I'm wondering, was there a consensus from the discussion you guys just had that taking away that you think somebody could share out?
I can share what I heard, and if there's any adjustments to what please speak up and share. So, Donna just hosted a forum for the 3, 4, 5, 6 parents, and Valerie was also there. So I think the feeling is that we do need to map out a timeline of what a transition will look like if we close the 6th grade, and put a timeline on closing the 6th grade. However, there were concerns that we still keep the position open to make sure that, if there's a viable candidate that comes in, we're still going to need a 5th grade teacher, because we're still asking our 3rd and 4th grade teacher to take on 8 extra kids and an entire extra curriculum, to make sure that we have all of that all those parts and pieces. So that they're okay with the board mapping out a timeline to close the 6th grade. And if for some reason we do have a candidate that pops in before the closing date, it's proposed to be the end of the semester, the transition of the semester, that the sixth graders could opt to stay if that happens before. But if it doesn't, that they have a timeline and they have a plan and they can talk to the kids and make a choice. Does that make sense? Did I summarize that?
And
So-
again, and speak parents, the thing that was the theme is keep the kids here. Try the best we can to keep and by doing this,
So-
framework right now, and keeping the opening, for the possibilities of getting a teacher, and through school spring, just to keep it open.
Well, we're gonna need a body anyways, even if the sixth graders left.
Right.
So whether that's as a one-on-one or as a part-time person or whatnot. So Laura, hang on one second. Let me just make sure. So we had discussed, we'd bounce around for the parents' benefit to go after Thanksgiving break, I thought. So is that, the end of the semester is until January, isn't it?
Right.
So we want to go to the end of January?
Yeah, mid-January would be when
Mid-January.
the semester changes, so I think
17th.
to back that up, you'd have to make a decision prior to that, so that the kids could make the shift at that transition, right? So first second week of January would give you, if that's your decision point, I'm not sure where the board meeting would fall in there, but that would give you time to make a decision and the kids to then pursue that other choice and start on the day that the new semester begins.
So there's a board meeting, I guess, January 8th.
No, that
Well,
doesn't sound right.
January 1st would be the first Monday of the month, and
Yeah.
I don't think we're probably
Well,
going to have a
It
board
would
meeting
probably
on
be the
January.
third then, the third Wednesday, third Monday.
Well,
which
the
is
third
what?
Monday is the 15th, which is Martin Luther King
King Day.
Day, so I
So
think
no meetings in January.
I like the sounds of that.
Well, that's not happening.
So the one in the middle was the 7th, so you said
The
8th?
January 8th. So this was
Yeah.
what the Mondays look like in January.
Okay, so I guess I just, I wasn't able to make it over for the parent meeting. So the parents are okay now if we don't do anything until the end of the semester. So that's half a year.
That's the moving part.
Well, that's the timeline part.
Okay, so we can make a motion to do that, and then my understanding is one of the parents already removed their child, so it's really only 3 students.
4.
Well, one is,
There were 5.
there were 5, and isn't one a tuitioning student?
Yes.
So that if we don't have it, that they're gonna need to do something on their own anyways, or their sending district will need to deal with that. So it's really three parents, 3 sets of parents or 3 students. So can we give a blanket approval to those parents that the law says that they can request tuition to one of the 3 schools, because it has to be adjoining and it has to be public. Can we do that as a blanket? That would just say to the parents that if we don't find anybody,
Well, remember, step 1 is to actually vote to not
Yeah.
operate 6th grade.
okay.
But then step 2 of that would be, yes, you could
So,
give,
so could we do a motion to not operate a 6th grade after the end of the semester if a viable candidate is not found? And then to, before that date, give the parents, give permission to those people that don't want to send their children to the Dover building to find another public elementary school that adjoins.
right, we
And we
know
would
which ones
just-
they are, but I think the parents have to formally request that under the statute, but I think you could grant that request
That if they-
received
if a
by the
request received
board
will
will
be-
be approved,
Is approved,
For-
and they
for the-
don't,
for
and
the
then that way there's no
legally
concern.
compliant schools.
Okay,
something like
does that work? I'm not sure, are you all 3 parents as 6th graders, or just
There's one.
the one? Okay, with that, I'm sorry.
Yep, and I know others are on, but that's what we just discussed in our meeting, and we were all good with that.
You're
We
good
just
with
want to
that?
know what it looks like to make that request. Do we make it via email?
I
Do
think
we-
you just send an email to the superintendent's office, and it'll be, and if we can, we'll make a motion, and the request will be approved.
And would that have to go in, like, say, the what, the agenda comes out the Thursday before, so.
No, it would
It
just,
wouldn't
it's,
matter?
we can make the motion to approve it if requested.
Okay,
So that
Okay.
it doesn't have to come back to the board. So
To
you
one
don't
of the
have to come
legally
back.
acceptable
Right,
designations.
right.
So it doesn't
And we
have to
can
be
just
on a
send
board
that-
timeline, it can be on,
on a Bob.
Bob timeline or
Okay.
Donna or
Okay.
you know,
Okay.
if we find somebody or, you know, they say it's now 2 weeks before and we have no more applications. So we're not, you know, nothing's gonna happen in the next 2 weeks, so that would be on the 6th grade. So is that, everybody good with that? Are you good with that, Kate? Laura, go ahead, I know you want to talk and I don't see anybody else.
no other hands at this time.
Go ahead, Laura.
Yeah, I think we owe it to the families and the kids to really make a decision tonight. Looking forward, you know, I don't think we should make the decision in January. You know, make a motion. I guess what I would like to see us do is make a motion that pending finding another teacher, we will be closing it, whatever the last is of December, and ask our staff to start putting in motion whatever is necessary to mitigate
So,
the disruptions to the kids. Let me finish, Richard. To the kids and the families, and including, if we're saying that we're going to close it on December, wouldn't the parents be able to? I'd like the parents to be able to petition now, and so I'd like whatever we do to send their kids if they want to. I'd like us to
Laura,
take
the reason
action
Laura,
now.
the reason I'm interrupting you, what we just had, what was just discussed, and the parents said that they were in agreement, is that we would make a motion to close the 6th grade in the Wardsboro building at the end of the semester, which is sometime in January. Do we have a date? Whatever the date is in January,
17th.
and that we would give blanket approval if a parent requested to the superintendent permission to tuition their child to one of the schools that is allowed by law, that it wouldn't have to come before the board. We're gonna give blanket approval. The superintendent can do that. That was what we were just discussing.
Yeah, I heard all of that. And so I guess my question is, does that allow parents to petition now
Yeah.
to send their kids to one of the 3 public schools?
So just so I understand the difference, that so what you're suggesting, Laura, is that the maximum flexibility a parent could leave now if they so chose, instead of waiting till the end of
Yes.
January. That's the difference that you're talking
Yeah.
about.
Yeah, we can't do that because
Yeah.
we have to close it first. No, it has to be closed first, is the way I understand it. So we would have to make a motion to close it.
And they
Well,
can't.
if we are making a motion to close the school, the 6th grade, unless there's some sort of miracle,
That was gonna be the motion, that if they don't find a teacher by the end of the semester, that we would close the 6th grade at the end of the semester, and that parents, we would give a blanket, it involves 3 parents, not 3 parents, 3 students, and we would give a blanket approval to them as long as they requested to have tuition paid through the superintendent.
right. So I heard all of that. So I feel like we have taken. I feel like we've taken a lot of time to make this decision. I'm not sure that it's actually been in the kids' best interest, but I'm not in the school, and so I don't know. I'm feeling like we need to accelerate parents' options.
But that's what the
so,
parents have
Richard,
requested of
could you-
us, Laura. The parents requested that we give them more time. We were ready to make a motion 3 weeks ago, and the parents that were here and the parents that were on TV asked us to hold off on that decision. So we're doing what the parents have asked us to do.
Okay, so please let me finish,
Okay.
Richard. So what I'm concerned about with the time frame that you're putting forward is I'm concerned about parents not having time do we know what the parents want to do? Do they all want to go to these adjacent schools? If that's the case, I don't want us to be waiting until January. I want to make sure that we are facilitating every possible thing we can for these families to make good choices for their students as quickly as possible and to feel supported. I don't want to wait until January and then we have another meeting and then we close and then we're trying to figure it out and then they're trying to get into the schools. So, the timeline, the overall timeline is fine. I'm not arguing about the timeline. I would like to see us, if there's nothing we can do about the timeline, we certainly can, if we can't actually allow the kids to leave before January, and I think we should. I actually think it should be after the holiday break. The kids should be able to go back into a new school. But if the parents want to go further than that, fine. But can we get kids now if they're looking at other schools besides Dover, or if they are looking at Dover, so that they can get into those buildings and start making those decisions? I feel like we can't keep dragging this out. Thank you. I'm done now.
Thank you, you're welcome. Go ahead.
I believe that was the consensus, that people don't want to drag it out, and the parents had a thoughtful conversation with the building administrator. They talked about timelines and what made sense for the children and their education, and how it would make sense to wrap up this current semester here in Wardsboro. We also, in that discussion, the building administrator, who is also the acting 5th and 6th grade ELA teacher, 5th, 6th, 3rd, and 4th ELA teacher, and the 3, 4, 5, 6 math teacher. It was a collaborative conversation. It was a conversation that resulted in people talking about this timeline, dissecting it, thinking about all the tiny parts and pieces. We had a great parent bring up the part about winter sports and all of these other parts and pieces. And so the result of this conversation is the request to have us make the motion to close the 6th grade in Wardsboro at the end of the semester if a teacher is not found by that time. And then that we would also have blanket approval given to the superintendent to approve tuition requests by parents for the adjacent public districts.
You can make that one.
So Kate,
Yes.
Can I speak
and
to?
so can
Hey,
parents,
Laura, hang on a second. Go ahead, Dwight.
Thanks, Rich. I hear what Laura's saying too, and I also understand what the parents seem to be saying as well. And I think well, first of all, if I hear you correctly, that the 6th grade needs to be closed down in order for a parent to petition. I wonder if we could announce the school closing maybe 2 weeks prior to the end of the semester. So that would give parents 2 weeks to determine where they want to go to review those schools, and then make the transition at the end of the semester, if you hear what I'm saying. So that, because I think I hear what Laura's saying too. It's like, if we close the school at the end of the semester, then there's a little bit of a transition. We want to make sure those students start the next semester at the beginning, of that semester. So if you can follow me, is it possible to announce the classroom closing 2 weeks prior to the end of the semester, and then during that period of time, parents could petition the board?
So Dwight, again, that's what we're saying.
Okay.
We're saying that what we're going to do is we'll make a motion to announce that we're closing the 6th grade at the end of the semester if no teachers found, and that we're giving the parents the ability to request right this minute, after we make the motion of the superintendent, that when the school closes, if there's no teacher found, to go to another school, and we give the superintendent the blanket authorization to approve that. So I guess I'm a little confused because I think.
Sorry if I misheard you. So you're saying is that the students will still need to stay in Wardsboro till the end of the semester, and from now until that time, they can petition, and at the end of the semester, they can go.
And that's what the parents
Okay,
requested
I'm
of
sorry, I
us.
misheard you. That sounds great.
Okay, go ahead, Chad.
Actually, I'm all good. That was a great explanation for all, so
Okay.
I'm okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. I don't see it. Mike, you all set?
I love it. The parents are happy. I'm happy.
Okay, I don't know if they're happy, but it's, I think I think it's the best we can make of the situation for them right now. Laura, go ahead. Your second time around.
I think it's actually my third, and hopefully I can be clearer this time. And I apologize, I lost reception, so if this has already been said. Can parents tomorrow, with the help of the supervisory union and the administration, who are going to have students that are affected, start researching and visiting other schools?
Yes.
Regardless as to what we're, great. My problem is resolved. Thanks so much.
You're welcome. So don't go away for a minute because I think I hear a motion coming.
Okay, I would like to make a motion to close the 6th grade in Wardsboro at the end of the semester if a teacher is not found. And then the board would also give blanket approval to the superintendent to approve requests by parents for tuition for public adjacent school districts.
For this year.
For
only.
this school year only, and hopefully never, ever, ever again. How's that?
So we have a motion, Meredith. It's a long one. So can you just read it back before we get a second to make sure we're all on the same page?
I need the second part. So Kate made a motion to close the Wardsboro 6th grade no later than the end of the semester?
No, at the
Or
end
is
of the
it
semester.
At the end of the semester.
If a teacher is not found,
At the end of the semester, if a teacher's not found.
and that would
And then
be,
you said something about the,
hang on,
the,
I'm wordsmithing as we go. If a teacher is not found, hired, do we need to put hired or can we
I
put found?
It's a little,
Yeah.
Well, we found a teacher, you just won't do it.
right, you could actually hire the
Okay.
teacher.
If a teacher is not hired for the remainder of this school year,
And that,
and then the board would like to offer blanket approval to the superintendent.
to approve.
I'm giving her a chance to write.
Oh.
To approve request by parents for tuition for public adjacent districts.
The board authorizes the superintendent to
what,
provide.
wait, say that part again?
Okay,
Offer blanket approval to the superintendent to approve
that's what I
by
told her.
request.
The blanket approval to the superintendent.
Hang on a second.
The second part,
Fo-
you say-
We're making sure we cross our legal wordsmiths. Okay.
Second part, and the board authorizes the superintendent to provide.
And the second
approve.
part would
To
be
approve.
Okay.
To approve.
that the board authorizes the superintendent to approve appeal requests by parents for tuition for public adjacent districts
Under statute blah, blah, blah.
under statute of public.
Wait,
No, under state statutes, fine.
wait, you turn that around. Okay, offer and approve
And approve.
blanket.
Authorizes to approve. Authorizes.
Meredith, read it from the beginning again, what you got, and we'll straighten it out.
Kate made a motion to close the Wardsboro 6th grade at the end of the semester if a teacher is not hired for this school year only. That might need to be after. Makes sense.
Yeah.
And approve
and
and
to
authorize blanket approval to the superintendent to approve requests. That's where I'm at.
You don't need the blanket approval part. Authorizes the superintendent to
So-
approve requests.
And authorize the superintendent to approve requests by parents for tuition for public adjacent districts under the statute of public,
State statute.
under the state statute.
Are you good with that, Bob?
Yes.
Okay, do you have that,
Yes, I know.
Meredith?
Good enough. Yes, I will.
She can,
Yeah.
she can watch the recording again. too.
Okay,
Yeah.
well, I want to make sure
Okay.
we're all voting on the same thing, so I want to make sure
Yeah.
she has it written down, because that's the official.
Here.
This recording is not the official. So Meredith, run through it one more time for us, please, so we can get a second.
I'm almost there.
Okay.
He made a motion to close the Wardsboro 6th grade class at the end of the semester if a teacher is not hired for this school year only, and authorize the superintendent to approve by request by parents for tuition at adjacent schools.
Adjacent public schools.
Districts.
Public.
With
Yeah.
where's the districts go?
Adjacent public school districts.
I could really use a great 6th grade ELA teacher right now.
So are you set, Meredith?
Yes.
Okay. Kate made that motion. Is there a second to that motion?
I'll second that.
Thank you, Chad. Is there any question on what the motion is? Laura, are you good with understanding the motion?
Motion is what I expected.
Okay, Mike, are you good with it?
All good, crystal clear.
Thank you, Dwight. Okay, because it got a little muddy here, but we think we're all good. Chad, you're good? Kate, are you good?
I'm good.
Okay, so is there any discussion from any of the board?
I would like to just say that this was not easy. This was very hard, and I very much appreciate the input from the parents of Wardsboro School, from the administration, from the staff, and all the time that the board has put into this, and all the time that the staff at Wardsboro School has put into doing the best that they can to keep the education of these students a very high priority this year. I very much appreciate that. Thank you.
Don't forget Bob.
Bob. Oh, I lumped him in with the administration, but thank you,
Okay.
Bob. And thank you for the board for putting a lot of time and energy into this. I know this has been tricky for everyone.
And I think the parents, I appreciate the parents' understanding too, and, you know, I think it was a good collaborative effort on everybody's part to try to do the best we could with some mud pie.
We're still holding out hope.
Yeah, no, and you know what? It may be after the holidays. Somebody may say, I don't want to be there anymore. Who knows? So, is there comment from anybody else, any of the public or the parents or anybody besides the board? I think the board's all set. Going once, going twice. Okay, Meredith, one more time, read the motion, please. Just want to make sure.
Kate made a motion to close the Wardsboro 6th grade class at the end of the semester for this school year only if a teacher is not hired, and authorizes the superintendent to approve by request by parents for tuition at adjacent public school districts.
Okay.
Should 6th grade be in there? Is that clear enough?
No, I think she says sixth
She
grade.
said 6th
I
grade.
just
Close the
but
6th grade.
the Parent request. I just wanted to make sure.
Yeah, no, because that's the only one that can do it. You can't, 5th grade parents can't because,
Just asking, just to make
no,
sure.
we're trying to explain it to you just to make sure. Okay,
I have the grade in there.
6th grade, yeah, no, there was a question because is it clear? So I think we're good. All those in favor of the motion, please signify so by saying aye.
Aye.
I
Chad.
Aye.
Okay, any opposed? It appears as though it's a unanimous decision in the affirmative. It is a unanimous decision in the affirmative, so we are starting down a path. My next concern is, though, what do we need to do about the 3, 4, 5 that's going to be left? So can we have that discussion at the next board meeting?
Sure.
Because I know you guys wanted some time to set up some curriculum possibly, and we were talking about trying to get some help in here, even just to cover some time so you all could have some free time together. So make sure that we need that discussion next meeting. Okay?
Next week.
No, next meeting.
December 4th.
Okay.
December.
We are taking a week off. We are
Go ahead, Dwight.
Oh, thanks, Rich. I just had maybe a comment or a request. So everyone understands, I think what has to happen obviously is the sixth grade. If sixth grade does close, the sixth graders will be moved over to the Dover school unless they petition out, right?
Correct.
So I'm wondering, and I'd love to see the students stay within the district. I'm sure others would as well. I'm wondering if maybe the Wardsboro kids could be invited for the day to spend the day in Dover and just see what it's like there and spend a day to see if that's something that they'd like to consider. I think that'd be a good way to try to give them some more information about what that school would be like.
Okay, and we can make that suggestion. So I think it's been made.
Okay.
So, hey, Laura just arrived, so she's not on TV anymore. Not as famous as she once was. Okay, thank you, Dwight. So I think we've pretty much beat up this the Wardsboro staffing for now, and we'll take it up again at the next meeting about the 3, 4, 5. So if there's nothing on that, I'd like to go to additions or deletions to the agenda. Does anybody have any additions or deletions? Is Lori still on there somewhere?
Yes, Lori is still.
Okay. The only thing I'm going to ask is if we could just maybe bounce the overview of the WCSU budget and the superintendent update up front so that we don't have to keep them all night. Bob really said he'd like to stay till 10 or 11 tonight, but I'm not going to stay with him.
It's a dream, really.
Yeah, it is a dream. It's a nightmare. Okay, if there's no objections to that, Lori, we have some WCSU budgets here. I guess you didn't trust me to do it, so run through it.
Oh no, you could do it just
Nope.
fine. I'm here to answer questions.
No, go ahead, please. Does anybody in the audience want one? So go ahead, Lori, please. We met last Wednesday. We actually had a pretty good turnout. We had every board represented, not as a voting member, but we did have somebody from every board. And Lori did a great job explaining the superintendent's budget. We also reviewed the MTSS budget. So we had, don't tell me, I always get the names wrong, Jen and Stephanie, thank you, there to explain how the MTSS works. We also did the early childhood, and we did it used to be called the agency fee, but it's called the fee for service, kind of close. So Lori, take it away.
All right. So I'm just going to start out because we have so many people on here that are new and maybe haven't really understood that the SU is basically a pass-through entity. And there's many expenses that happen at the SU level that are assessed out to the different districts. And so an assessment equals a prorated expense minus any offsetting revenues that is assessed to each individual district by an agreed upon methodology. Typically, that's average daily membership. We use at WCSU, the board voted last year to use a 2-year average to level out some of the comings and goings of students in each district. So that is how expenses are split up from the supervisory union that affect your districts. And with all of these budgets, there's an administrative piece and there's also direct service piece. And we'll talk about that a little bit in a second. So the superintendent's expenses are up 21.28%. And unfortunately, revenues are down as we expected due to the decrease in federal funding. So these are the sunsetting of ESSER funds. The technology part of the budget is up 26.42 due to a change in the director model and the addition of a 1.0 data technician staff, as well as software, hardware, inflationary factors. So I recommended and the board approved using $95,000 of fund balance to offset some of the increase because a lot of the increase, particularly in the superintendent's piece of the budget, was due to the business office transition. So going down to the MTSS, which is multi-tiered system of support, budget, and I know you have some in the room with you there. You have some budgets. I would highly recommend reading the narrative on this budget. It really tells everyone what we're doing with special ed and academic support, and how we're really under Act 173 able to break down the silos of those and merge those services to better serve the students in your schools. If you don't have a copy and you're just online, I believe it should be up on the WCSU website as well, so you can read about it there. So the expenses there increased 3.1%, but again, we've had decreases in revenues because we were using ESSER funds to actually to create some fund balance. And so we're also going to recommend to use $800,000 fund balance to offset the year over year. This was a plan that the WCSU board put into action basically 2 years ago, and 2.5 years ago, really. And it's really going to give us a runway of using those ESSER funds longer than we have by federal regulations. The ECSE, which stands for Early Childhood Special Education, those expenses were down. Basically, just we didn't need as many services for that. So there was a decrease in that budget, as well as the fee-for-service budget as well. There was a minimal decrease in that. So that's really the overview. There's a lot of graphs, and also our fund balance. There's a Appendix A, shows what our fund balances are. So when I'm making these recommendations, you can turn to there and see that I'm making these recommendations with some money in the bank. So that's good. How we spent our ESSER funds, that's Appendix B. Appendix C is a summary of the assessments that are being passed through to your district. These will change slightly. We don't have our 2-year average numbers in quite yet. So those will change a little bit, but in the past they have not changed by a lot. And Appendix D is just our org chart for the central office. Does anybody have any questions? That's a really quick overview. There's a lot of detail there, but I'm happy to answer anything now, or you can always email me.
Lori, I'd just like to make the comment that one of the things is, and it hasn't changed a lot, and Lori's going to try to get this to us in the next few weeks. At the next SU meeting, we're going to try to change how we base our, what percentage goes to each district on the current student count, so that when we actually vote on this, because we have to vote on it in the end of November, beginning of December, because we do have a couple districts, that one of the bigger ones being the West River District, that has to have their budget stuff together before the end of December. So they need these numbers, and it would make it a lot easier if everybody knew the exact number. I also noticed, I think there was an article in a paper about another district, the supervised union north of us, that is proposing to cut a lot of staff because they spent all their ESSER money all in 1 year. And Lori did come to the super board with a plan to make that money last for 3 or 4 years. So at the 800,000 we're using, we have at least 3 more years, or 2 more this coming year that we voted, and 2 years after that of still having some ESSER funds available, which looks to be heads and shoulders above a lot of the other districts around us. And then that way also we'll have a little bit truer number too, because we're only voting on proposed expenditures, but we don't know what they're actually going to be because people move in and out of the district. So having a fund balance too. Back before Lori was here, we used to be like, we'd have $10,000 in the bank at the end of the year, and we thought we were doing wonderful. And Lori's really worked on that for us to get us some fund balance so that we can kind of level out the ups and downs a little bit. So I like to compliment her. And luckily we get one more budget with Lori.
That's right.
So are there any other questions on the budget? I know it's a lot of stuff. I will also say that we did have all three of our voting members, Dwight and Kate and I, did go to the meeting. We did vote on this budget. Go ahead, Laura.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be for this meeting, but can we get staffing pre-COVID and staffing now?
SU staffing?
Yes.
Yeah, that's really easy.
And when we do our budgets, I would also like us to have that.
I just want to remind people, though, that it's not a one-to-one comparison, because one of the things at the SU that we've been really good about is moving people around. So we found at one point we didn't need a full HR person, so we split the HR between HR and payables, but then payables got too much, so we needed a full-time. I don't remember all the switching, but every year there's recommendation from the SU where they find that they don't need as much of a certain staff member, but maybe more of another one. So we have bounced around a little bit. And then, so it's a little.
So just to clarify, are you looking for total FTEs or actual like specifics within each department? Like what are you looking for?
Something so we could be kind of comparing
and
what we're looking at. And the reason that I would like that is I think that I know that tax rates are going to be a big topic in the state this year. So I think it's just important for us to anticipate and understand our budget, and that's a place where it's pretty easy for folks to come in and think we just as Rich is saying. So I think it would be good for us to let's just talk about what that is and why it's necessary, and the same with our budget. I think that'll just benefit all of us.
And remember, though, the other big thing is under the MTSS budget, all those services that used to come out of our individual district budgets are now at the SU budget. So the SU's grown hugely, but the districts have shrunk. Go ahead, Lori.
I'm happy to put that together for you, Laura. I just wanted to mention that one of the strategies that we used with all of the ESSER funds was to supplant, because it's the first time in actually history, I think, that we're able to use federal funds, the ESSER funds, you are able to supplant, whereas like for our titles, Title I, Title IIA, Title IV, you're not. That's totally against the rules. You have to supplement. So we didn't have a lot of cliffs because we were budgeting in the local budget, and then we were charging to ESSER, therefore creating a fund balance. So when you move somebody from ESSER into the local budget, they've already been there. So we didn't have a lot of that in all of our districts, but I'm happy to put that together for you.
But I think it's important to know what position, not just numbers, but what they're doing.
Yeah, I just think we should be prepared to really be articulate this year about what's happening.
Are there any other questions for Lori? Lori, I got one more thing for you I forgot before we let you go. We had timeline for budget warning, and this was actually intended, I thought we were going to be in Dover, so I asked the clerk to come. But our annual meeting is going to be in April this year.
Oh, okay.
And well, that's what we approved a couple years ago. So.
Oh yes, yeah, I knew that. Yeah.
Yeah. So I want to get with Andy about when we need to get the warning out and when we need to get petitions in and that stuff. So I know you've got West River coming up and a couple of the other ones. So with us having to, I'm not sure what Andy's going to be looking for, but can you just put together a brief time, or do you have the timeline?
We had.
I do.
Yeah, she's originally put together a first draft on 12/4 at that meeting. Lori, is that still accurate?
Yes, yep, we'll talk about just the expenses, some building and transportation, and look at the fund balances on the 4th.
Okay, why are we doing it on the 4th?
We don't have to,
Well, why don't you, I mean, if you got a bunch of other ones, I mean, I'm okay if we put this off till after, to the beginning of January and let you get your other ones done up. Because we're not gonna put it out, and we'll make changes in it until we, know what they're doing in Montpelier. So I think if it's the end of April, it has to be warned like 30 days, so April, so that takes you back to March. I mean, I don't think we're gonna have to approve anything till middle of February.
okay, so do you want to go with the first meeting in January then?
It looks like we're only gonna have one meeting in January because our first meeting is the 1st, somebody said, and then our second regularly scheduled meeting is Martin Luther King, and we're not allowed to meet on that date. So I think we're gonna have to look at what we're gonna do. So we'll talk in December, beginning December, and we'll give you a date then.
Okay. All right, yeah. Are you doing 2 in December, just out of curiosity?
Probably. Hopefully, Donna's bringing us like 4 candidates to choose one to teach 5th, 6th, and Wardsboro.
All right, so we could do a first draft on the 18th if you wanted as well. So
Okay,
keep that in mind.
we'll talk about it in the first and let Bob and you know. But again,
Okay.
if it's really easy for you, that's great. But if you need the time for other districts that meet earlier, feel free to use it.
Okay, I appreciate that.
Does anybody have any? You guys all set? Okay. Dwight or Mike or Chad, you guys all set? Okay, thank you, Lori.
You're welcome. Have a good evening.
You too. So I'm gonna jump back to members of the public. Nope. Anything for public?
On this topic?
On anything. This is your chance to bring up anything you want. You think school buses should be painted fluorescent orange instead of yellow?
I was sticking around. I'm Karina Martin, parent at Wardsboro, to hear the playground update because I am very concerned that.
I'll be here in a minute then.
Well, I didn't know if I had to talk about it now. You just told me I had to talk now.
No, I asked you, this is the only time when you public gets to make comments on anything.
Exactly, so I'm trying to make my comment on the playground update.
Well, no,
That's
you can
coming.
talk about it when we get to playground too.
Okay, you told me I couldn't.
No, I'm telling you, if you want to bring up something that isn't on the agenda, just as a point of order, this is for us to listen. If you want to make the comment on the playground, but we've always been very good about letting
Thank you.
people speak also on topics, so. Anybody in TV land? What's the blue thing in the corner? Oh,
It's just the 3 dots. It's just where it's resting. It's fine.
okay, so if not, members of the staff. You're the only staff I see. Oh, Tricia? No, okay, moving right along. Playground update. Here you go. What do you got, Bob?
Well, Greg's been on vacation, much deserved, and so I was just sending him a text earlier to see if he had any information for me, but he has not responded, but he is also on vacation, so. I don't know if he has been in touch with Donna, but he's been out for the last week plus, so I don't know.
He's been out.
Yeah, okay.
So, do you want me to talk?
Yeah, if you have any update.
Yeah.
Well, we do need to invite the people who installed or who we purchased the equipment from, because there's some concerns about the slide. There's this big bump now in the slide and some other things. So we wanted to revisit with them to make sure the structure is safe. And whether that is Visbit or Cumming or the people who we purchased it
I
from.
think it's the people we bought it from, yeah.
So I did reach out to Ryan to about the concerns. And that's the only thing I have for the playground, other than, us starting a committee for navigating conversations about what we could do for the preschool and for the 5 and under.
Did you, I thought we were gonna do some temporary stuff that we had taken out and put it, wasn't there tires or something that we removed that we could put back, or?
They were taken. I don't know what happened to them.
They can come back.
They can.
Well, I thought, yeah,
but
didn't you
but
say
the
that the last
recommendation,
meeting?
the recommendation was they were not safe.
Okay,
So that's why they were taken.
okay. When's Greg back?
It's a great question.
Okay,
I should know that.
But my thought
My
was
sense is he might be out to the break. So,
Okay.
I guess next week.
so can we just get an update, an email update?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
can we just send it out to the parents so that they can kind of know what's happening? And then we'll put it on the next agenda, so it'll be discussed again at the next meeting.
Were you talking specifically about the pre-K level? Is that what you were
Yes.
talking about? Yeah. Okay.
I am appreciative that we have a brand new playground, but I'm very concerned and frustrated that it doesn't work for our whole school population.
And a lot of us were concerned about that because we thought that was, and we didn't realize that there's no playground that will work for everybody. It's two separate ones. Does Dwight have his hand up?
No.
Okay. So yes, that has, and we do want to, we're trying to get right on that, so.
And to involve all stakeholders so that we get everybody on board with what we need.
All set? Okay. Is there any update? Are you aware of anything with the PCB? I know that they were in testing, Greg told us last time, and I think everything was tested and they had to come back, but they did that, so we're just waiting for results. Tracy, I'm sorry.
At Dover School, our sampling is not finished. They did the majority of it, and then we still have to schedule the rest of the sampling, but it is a logistical nightmare because they have to give Monsanto 2 weeks notice so that they can attend as well. So Greg, the last I spoke to Greg, he was hoping that it would be done by the end of December. That was his hope.
Okay, and then you're like 3 or 4 months waiting for results, right?
That is correct.
Okay. So we're going to leave the PCB thing just on there in case something comes up. And Tracy, if you can just let us know, but that way it just keeps it in the forefront of everybody.
Will do, sir.
Thank you. Chad, website update?
Hi there. So we've got the annual calendar. Derek was working on, you might have seen, emailed the whole board at that one moment, about adding, the events-driven calendar that is already embedded in each of the pages. So we've talked about whether or not that should be one singular for each entity, one for the board, one for Dover, one for Wardsboro building, or if he's going to merge, and he hasn't answered me on that point yet. In my opinion, I think it would be best to have, the full slate of events between both schools and the board as needed. So we'll see which direction can happen. Again, I'm not even sure what the merging technique is for that. Again, the structure is all set. I think we're, into editing some pages. All the content that really need now is really in the hands of the schools as far as pictures. And Derek, as I said in the last meeting, is going to be working with both Lori and Jen to make sure, the updates are made as required.
Okay, is there any questions about website for Chad? Thank you, Chad, for being on top of that for us. Any comments, questions, thoughts? Bob promised us 10 more years. He just wondered if his question was, will it be done before he retires?
It better be.
In 10 years. Well, he's 9.5 because we'll give him this half a year.
Appreciate that.
Yeah, I navigated through actually this evening. Well, I had a few minutes in between, and I was prompted for permission to open an agenda, but it took my, board credentials, with the SU email address. So I'm not sure if that was because of my, affiliation. So that's something I've got to follow up with yet. But, again, I think once that's resolved, we have the bulk of the information. And, again, I think both principals have the web address. If not, certainly I want to get that in your hands to, look through. And, the more eyes, that are picking up on some of the little things, the better. There's definitely some things that, have, will be easily missed, if we look at it, on end. So, if you do need that web address, any member of the board or, principal admin staff, let me know and we'll get that to you so you can start to cruise around and feel free to critique as needed.
Okay, thank you, Chad. Is there any other old business from anybody that we missed? Hearing none, let's move into finish up new business. First item is approve financials.
I would like to make a motion that we approve pay warrant number 14 in the amount of $2,099.89.
Do we have a second to the motion?
Second.
Laura seconds the motion. Is there any discussion? Lori's not here anymore because I was going to thank her for making it a small one. Okay, hearing no discussion, all those in favor signify so by saying aye.
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 It appears to be a unanimous decision in the affirmative. It is. Financials are approved. Principals updates, is there any other than your Wardsboro 5th, 6th grade teachers or?
Well, just to update you, I did have Austin Meeker come to remove some pretty large trees that was brought to my attention. That was a safety concern. So I think that cost approximately $1,900, but they took all the wood, cleaned it all up. Looks really nice and safe back there. So happy to see that. And that our families came and did our woods. So it's nice and clean and clear in case we need to resort to the woods for anything, but the kids enjoy playing there too. So it's pretty safe for now.
Cool.
Thank you.
Tracy, anything out of Dover you want to let us know about or?
We had our first principal advisory committee meeting this afternoon and it went really well. Great group of parents, teachers, and community members, and they're very enthusiastic. So I had a great time.
Cool. What time? What is that? Is that a monthly thing, an every couple month thing, or?
I'll be doing it once a month before the board meeting at Dover School.
Okay, so we really messed you up, huh?
Yes, you did, but it's okay. I'm
Sorry.
absolutely fine with it.
We're going to discuss that at the end of the meeting. So, are there any questions for either Donna or Tracy? Everybody okay? Cool. Bob, any new superintendent stuff? I'm sorry, did you have something?
No.
Oh. Okay.
As I said, we're wrapping up the 2 days this week with professional learning for teachers in Townsend and led by teachers and a couple of outside presenters. Workshops were today and some more tomorrow. Tomorrow I think there's also the afternoon is a writing PD for all elementary teachers as well in the Dutton gym. So wrapping up our pre-Thanksgiving break with a little bit of professional learning. So while the kids are enjoying a full week off, the teachers are busting hump in Townsend. So it's good stuff, but led by teachers. So we're pretty excited about that new model this year. So.
Cool. Any questions, comments for the superintendent? Congratulations on your first budget too.
That was very exciting.
I mean, I think
seemed easy. I think they're all gonna be like that, right?
I think cutting 20% off your salary for us was,
that
really
certainly
helpful.
helped.
That made everybody say yay. Any policy update?
Policy dates are still pending, and they are on the radar that we will get it done at some point in the game when we are no longer in crisis mode.
Just keep it on the agenda. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. And then I was really lost with all those emails about the policy grid or are you good with that? You
I
all
am
set?
good with that. And actually, I was here the other day at school, and I got to meet Derek from the SU in person. And Derek and I were able to have an in-person conversation real quick on that. And we are
Okay.
in alignment and on the same page.
That's good.
And Derek actually took what had previously existed, and he now has ownership of it because he has the IT background and knowledge to be able to maintain that and publish it and do all of those parts and pieces. So I was very grateful that I got to meet Derek and that he's taken that on.
Derek has been there for a while, hasn't he?
Yeah, he's been combined to over Wardsboro. Now he does Marlboro as well, I think. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he's great.
Yeah, he
Good.
is.
Okay. And how is that though? Was that what I was a little confused was that to get it up on our website, or was that just for us to? Did you understand it, Laura?
So it was actually both, and I was not aware of the what function published it onto the website.
Okay.
So that was a new learning for me out of that email thread. But now Derek will have full ownership of that,
he
and
can-
a board member will not have to be the IT guru because that is not a model that we can keep up.
Sustain.
Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah. So.
Chad, I was confused. I almost called you to have some IT work done.
Did you need to open?
I might have
the flip
punted to
phone?
Dwight.
What was that, buddy?
I might have punted to Dwight.
Oh, okay. Dwight won't even talk to me hardly anymore. I bother him so much. So, policy update also, and it's not district, but it is WCSU. At the last WCSU meeting, we did discuss having the policy committee, and Bob sent out an email. We did appoint one member from each board under the policy committee, and Bob had done an audit of policies with all the districts. I know he sent it to us. We're not in bad shape, but the WCSU is not in great shape, which makes no sense. Things that the WCSU don't even have, we have to have policies about it. But Bob there's going to be a lot of low-hanging fruit. We'll be able to get a lot of it. Yeah, it'll be pretty easy. So, who was our policy person?
It's me.
You knew that, Rich.
No, I know. Well, just in case somebody wanted to help her out. We did the overview of the budget and we did the timeline. So, is there any other new business, Dwight, Mikey, or Chad? Mike? Anybody here? You do?
Yes.
Okay. Go ahead, Laura.
So just a question about legislative session coming up. Couple of issues. I'm just wondering if the SU is planning to weigh in on them or has them on the radar. So things that I'm hearing about are PCB legislative action, the weights implementation is hitting some districts hard, and so there's one-on-one meetings that are happening. So I think we need to keep our eye on that. And then today I heard discussion about potential surplus in the education fund that was being looked at for property tax relief for flood impacted towns. So something similar to that was done after Irene, but I did caution folks that the education fund composition is different than it was after Irene, and that we should probably never ever say that there's a surplus in the education fund. So I'm a little, I do think we have to really have a good view with all of the things that are happening with the grand lists and with the ESSER on the budgets. I just think it's important
ESSER's
for us.
going away.
I know, I think it's important for us to just be able to really.
There's a lot of districts that spend it all, and now they're going to be yelling because it's going to be a bigger cliff for them because they took all of it and it's gone. So that cliff is
The
huge.
more I hear about from other districts as I'm settling in the job, the more I could say that Bill Lori and you guys through the SU, brilliant in how that got managed. It really was brilliant, and it's like this instead of like this, and
Some of those larger districts that are looking at larger impacts have larger delegations in the legislature, so I think we just have to watch.
Well, I heard with the weighting too, there was Lori was making comments about waiting, so you really should call her.
Yeah, she and I both attended
keep my blood
the Brad
pressure
James
low.
thing last week, the webinar that he did. It was a bunch of different people, but he talked, we had a whole sort of primer for me. It was just new information, but learning how to understand all that and what the implications could be for us. Yeah, it was interesting. So.
Yeah, not as much implications for us around here, Lori's found, that we thought there would be, so you should really talk to her.
It's not going to cost us.
No.
No,
But
but it's not necessarily going to bail us out in ways that we thought it might either.
Or at least what Lori was thinking, so, again, and I know, I read somewhere, I saw something, and I don't remember, because we had Brad James at the state board meeting, and there's something that there's some districts that it's finally hitting home what it really meant to them. So I think there's going to be some arguing over it, but it's been made law. So I don't understand that, but you do. So that's why you're up there, and I'm not.
I understand it. That's why I'm saying we're going to have to really pay attention.
Okay.
Dwight, you all set, sir? Chad? Mike?
All good.
You good, Laura?
I think I've said enough tonight.
You all set? Okay. So listen, I got minutes of the October 30th and November 6th board meetings. Wasn't there one more in between?
We did have one very brief meeting last week on November 13th. So we will just.
Okay, so can you make a note of that? So we're going to need to
It might be we
pick that
didn't
up.
get those back yet, yeah.
Okay, so can I get
She
a
has that.
Pardon?
She has it. It just wasn't until she left, probably for the week, for the holiday.
Okay,
Okay.
Yeah, this
we'll
might
put
have
it
been-
on for the
this might have
next
been created
agenda.
before she got it, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, it's here, you think?
No.
Oh.
I thought you had, okay.
No, we have the two. So is there any comments on the October 30th and the November 6th board meetings?
No comment.
If there are none, by unanimous consent, we will just accept those. I have no correspondence. Does anybody have correspondence? No. Proposed next meeting. So we're a little off. We've been trying to do the first meeting of the month in Wardsboro and the second in Dover. We've had a lot of meetings in Wardsboro. I don't think we need to meet Wardsboro every time now because I think we're feeling a little bit okay, a little bit better. So I'm gonna suggest we meet in Dover at least on the 4th, and then let's see how things are, because if we're not having to do budget, we may only have to do one meeting on the 4th unless something comes up. But let's plan. Everybody bring your calendar, please. So at the 4th in Dover, we'll determine what we're gonna do in January, because this is a real double whammy for us. Well, the first,
What's a double win?
Well, the first is, our first meeting would be on the 1st, which is a holiday.
Yeah.
And then,
MLK.
and then it's MLK, exactly, so, and Bob says he doesn't mind, he'll meet Christmas Day and New Year's Eve.
I'll be sleeping
Rather.
here somewhere anyways, probably.
Chad
So.
has a question.
Oh, go ahead, Chad.
Yeah, Rich, just looking ahead to kind of plant the seed, because the 1st is Monday, there's actually 5 Mondays in in January coming up. So you could get away with doing the 2nd and the 4th Monday of the month and still be on track for February to be on the 1st and 3rd week and still have a week in between.
Well, don't forget the 3rd in February is usually a holiday also.
The
The
19th.
3rd week?
The 19th.
Yeah, it's usually
Right.
President's Day.
Right.
So, again, but that's what I'm saying is, yeah, thank you, Chad. But if everybody brings their calendar, that way we'll know, because, like, I have meetings that I plan on the 2nd and 4th because,
Oh.
and I just don't know if there's other things that other people have. Laura, has, she has to go north to participate in the Kool-Aid Festival for the winter. And, yeah, so just if everybody would look at their calendar and let me know, and then we'll have a discussion on that on the 4th, and Donna and Tracy and Bob too, because the other thing is when we start moving to like 2nd and 4th, those are nights Bob sometimes has meetings too, so it makes it difficult for him in his office. So, and he's looking right now feverishly to see what it is.
See what my wife has for dinner.
Oh, what does she have for dinner? Maybe I'm going there.
My wife doesn't cook dinner. That's the joke.
Oh, Laura knew I didn't. So, okay. So if there's nothing else, can I entertain a motion to adjourn and wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving on Thursday? Eat lots of ham.
I'll
no
make
turkey.
a motion to adjourn at 7:17 p.m. on Monday, November 20th.
Second.
Motion's made. Laura second. All those in favor say aye.
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 Bye.
Aye.
No,